Okay, we're going to start with the nation this morning. ECOWAS threatens military action against Niger Junta. Civil Service President praises Ig Imokwede's foundation. NECA, others to NLC. Protests will hurt fragile economy. Ondo APC happy with nomination of Tunji Ojo as minister. Governor slams curfew on state after looting of food items. How ministerial nominees will be screened by Senate. Tinubu directs probe of CBN-related entities. Okay, we can start with the major headline. African leaders yesterday have resolved to rid the continent of military coup by slamming the junta in Niger Republic with some sanctions. According to the report, the ultimatum is for them to reinstate deposed President Mohamed Bazoum or face stiff sanctions. The African Union gave Niger Republic authorities a 15-day ultimatum to vacate power and allow democracy to thrive. Others have hailed the ECOWAS for the stance on this, as the US, the UAE, the AU, and others. And they're also going to include closures of land and air borders by neighboring countries, suspension of commercial flights, cancellation of commercial and financial transactions and assistance, and freezing of the country's assets and bank accounts. However, the junta have responded, saying that if the ECOWAS tries anything, they will be met with stiff resistance from them. We'll see how that goes, because the ultimatum hasn't set, and hopefully some kind of truce will come soon, because lives are going at risk and properties are also at risk in the Niger Republic right now. Okay?
Yes, and I have the story from Adamawa State. So the governor of Adamawa State, Governor Amadou Fentiri, has imposed a 24-hour curfew in Adamawa State after some hoodlums invaded government and private warehouses in Yola, and they looted food items. He said that the curfew has followed what he calls a dangerous dimension the activities of hoodlums have assumed across Yola, where these people would attack innocent indigents with machete, break into business premises, and in this case, they also carted away many properties. He's saying that the curfew imposed, there will be no movement throughout the state, and warning all residents to abide by the curfew or risk arrest and prosecution. So the looting, I think a lot of us heard over the weekend, is what they are describing it as self-help palliative measure. The same way this happened also like in the 2020 NSAS era, and a lot of people were, attacking warehouses and taking food out. And they're saying this was almost in the same way. In fact, there was one particular warehouse in Kwenanwaya in Yola Numan Highway that was attacked during the NSAS, that was affected here as well. They also said the PZ warehouse in Jamaica, as well as a facility belonging to Senator Ahmed Barata, that's the campaign DG of Senator Aishatu Binani of the APC too, that was attacked as well. Anyway, they are saying that these hoodlums had operated around 9 a.m. They took rice, noodles, seasoning, cans of vegetables, palm oil, and
I'm sure they will sell
they're
it
just saying,
premium.
well, they're saying that they're saying they did it because of the hike in price of fuel, the removal of subsidy. But is this really the way that we should handle it? But there are some people that are saying that we have just created an atmosphere, that the policies have just created an atmosphere for something like this.
Okay,
yes, I want to take the story about the NECA. So NECA is the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, which is the umbrella organization for employers in the organized private sector. And they are asking NLC to not to protest. So the NLC had given a 7-day ultimatum, and they had said that they wanted to compel the government to reverse its anti-poor and anti-workers policies, which is the economic challenges that everybody is facing. And the president of NECA had said that this would hurt our economy, that Nigeria is already struggling to recover from all the crisis that has been going on since 2020, and that Nigerian Labour Congress should give the presidency and this administration a few more months to consolidate what they are working on. However, activist Femi Falana has said that they've not done, NLC hasn't done anything wrong in saying they want to carry out a peaceful protest. But former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor-Kalu, said that being an employer of labor and someone who had been in government, he would appeal to NLC not to ridicule the kind of change that this administration is trying to implement. That's a difficult time for Nigerians, that even poor and rich are affected, that he has a lot of staff and he understands what the economy, the impact of the economy on his companies, as well as his staff, as well as himself. And he's appealing that NLC should just hold on a bit for the government to implement their promised palliatives and give them time. Don't cripple the economy right now. A lot of people are struggling to eat. If you protest or shut down the economy, it will cost a lot of challenges for the people you are trying to defend.
The Punch. Uncover CBN NNPCL mess. Economist groups tell Tinubu's special investigation. Niger coup plotters dismiss ECOWAS threats. Bazoum reinstatement. NDLEA nabs Lagos nightclubs, drug suppliers. Government warns operators. Operation Flush. 88 robbery suspects arrested in Lagos. Clampdown continues. Over 2,000 Nigerian girls stranded in Mali, says NAPTIP. 15 ministerial nominees submit credentials ahead of screening. Kanu returns to DSS custody after checkup by personal doctors. And NLC insists on Wednesday strike mobilizes workers. Okay, which story are we starting with?
NDLEA. So NDLEA have arrested a Lekki-based artist manager and his accomplice, who's an Ikoyi businessman. So both of them are said to specialize in the distribution of illicit drugs. They deliver their drugs to nightclubs and lounges in Lekki and other areas on the Lagos Island. In fact, this report names, their addresses, and the lounges and clubs that they send these things to. So some of the places they deliver to is Quilox, Silver Fox, DNA, Hotbox.
Drugs?
Yes. They also, the names... Oh, sorry. So, okay, Oseni Babatunde is the person. He lives in Lekki, number 3, Upper Daniel Taiwo Street, off Chisco bus stop in Lekki areas. It's well spelled out. It's also known as Papa Lampa. He was arrested. They say it was intelligence-based. These consignment had come in and was traced to him. And in fact, when they searched his house, they found that he had similar items that had just arrived as well. And they were able to, it led them to his accomplice, an Inandi Ikena, who lives in 18 Okotiebo in Ikoyi. They were waiting for him when he had gone off to South Africa. When he got in, they were able to arrest him. Wow.
As in,
I mean, these are places that we know. Yes. Like, we can go and point out to these places.
This is good. This is a good bust for our drug enforcement fight.
Let me take the story on Nnamdi Kanu. So the leader of the separatist group, Indigenous People of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, was on Sunday returned to custody after he was seen on Saturday by his personal physician. The Federal High Court in Abuja had, back on July 20th, ordered the DSS to grant Kanu access to his personal physicians, dismissing the DSS's objection to that prayer. According to IPOB, Kanu is suspected to be suffering from ear infection and needs surgery. His lawyer, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, actually tweeted that he witnessed the consultation, said it's equal to a vowed assurance to keep Nnamdi Kanu's people abreast of what's going on. I must tell you that I witnessed the consultation as part of the protocol. The medical examination was seamless and productive, and he will be progressing to the next stage soon. So we're happy that the DSS have finally complied with the court order to allow Nnamdi Kanu to see his personal physician. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our reviews. Stay with us. You have a story in Punch?
Yes. So in a Operation Flush, the Lagos State Police Command has arrested no fewer than 88 suspects. These are suspected criminals. It took place over a 24-hour period after the launch of the Operation Flush, and it is to address the concerns of Lagosians. It took place on Sunday. The Commissioner of Police for Lagos, Idowu Owohunwa, on Thursday launched the operation and said that it was to flush out criminals, particularly traffic robbers and other miscreants. And they've been able to arrest 88 of them. They also mentioned that they took people from, that if you pass through Orile, you will see that we have permanent police deployment in those areas. They've called on local government chairmen to support them, and they are affirming that they are going to continue this operation. Then they said on gender-based violence that they have scaled up the capacity of the units within the police that handles these issues, and they are asking journalists to be part of the force. I'm happy to hear this report. I noticed I was at Bega on Friday, and there were some boys that were pacing back and forth. And you know, like we kept, and we're stuck in the traffic. They were just looking for how to get in. And there were police officers just a few, like 2 minutes after where they were. So police officers can be stationed, but if they don't move around and create an environment that says if we see you running and you're caught, you're in trouble, we might still end up having them stationed and robberies
police are overwhelmed because we have 1 or 2 police, so they have like 50 of those boys come around, you know, so they are also protecting their own lives. So
and those boys are also watching the police move.
That's why we also need CCTV cameras, you know, and ways to trace these guys.
So that we don't kill our
Get your NIN number, get your BVN so you can trace, you know, everything is linked somehow. Okay, moving on now to Daily Sun. NLC adamant on mass action and strike. LP fourth choice of the ministers. Finally, DSS allows Nnamdi Kanu access to private doctor. Northern groups call for protest over hunger in region. Tinubu appoints special investigator to probe CBN amid Emefiele's trial. ECOWAS gives Niger Republic coupists 1 week to reinstate Bazoum as president or may use force. Okay, let me take the LP. So the leadership of the Labour Party has berated President Bola Tinubu over the ministerial list forwarded to the National Assembly. Their spokesperson, the National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Obiora Ifo, said the list was completely below expectations of Nigerians. He actually faulted the fact that the list is being presented in batches, says that they're going to seek legal action against this. They're going to seek appropriate legal advice on the legality or otherwise of a piecemeal submission of ministerial list as opposed to the submission of the full list. They're also saying that they expected more quality, character, dynamic, and result-oriented Nigerians, not just recycled politicians. You know, so they've given their own views on the ministerial list of our president. Okay, any other story?
The opposition should. So we now have the northern group is the Arewa Citizens Watch for Good Governance is threatening to embark on a massive protest over what it has described as widespread hunger. They said that they would begin mobilization of their supporters from Thursday, and their demand is the removal of Mele Kyari, that's the Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL, and also the heads of the company subsidiaries for the role they played in subjecting Nigerians to untold hardship over the increase in the petrol prices. They spoke to news people, and they're saying that they believe, according to what they said, that they believe strongly that the endemic and systemic corruption in NNPC is that NNPC is known for is encouraged by racketeering, you know, in the former administration, that's the subsidy administration, and as far as they're concerned, it was headed by Mele Kyari and the subsidiary heads, and they're blaming them also for the artificial fuel scarcity that happened in 2022, for the queues that Nigerians had to, that they were on, you know, because of this fake scarcity. They accuse them also for the pre-election scarcity, so many other things concerning petroleum products being sold or being scarce and all that. And they're saying that they believe strongly that NNPC is corrupt and he should be removed.
I have the Godwin Emefiele story is an update. The president, Bola Tinubu, has appointed a special investigator to probe the CBN and related entities. The person's name is Jim Obaze. He was a former chief executive officer of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, FRCN, and his directive, a letter was sent to him that he should begin this special investigation. And they also, into the CBN, from the suspended CBN governor, he's supposed to report directly to the president on the information that he gets. They also mentioned that they are expecting to get details from him on a weekly basis. is to investigate relevant security and anti-corruption agencies, using all the related people to relevant security agencies, anti-corruption agencies. He should recruit suitable and experienced, competent, capable team to work with him and send briefings to the presidency on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Okay, moving on now to the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu orders probe of CBN. Rising cost of living, UBA improves staff welfare. Obey appeal court dismissed PDP's petition. Sani tells Tribunal. We are set for screening of ministers, says Senate. ECOWAS gives Niger coupists 1 week to reinstate president. Youth break into Nema warehouse in Adamawa, steal maize, rice, mattresses, and others. Ondo APC commends Tinubu nomination of Tunji Ojo. And CBN's currency floating policy will kill the Naira, says O.A. Lawal. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Yes, the Senate says that they will commence screening of the 28 ministerial nominees. They said as we remember, we had 28 nominees unveiled, but we still have 11 states missing. We also, the Chief of Staff to the President has also said that the minister intends to separate portfolios or restructure the ministries in such a way that you might be hearing of new ministries that were not standalone ministries before. So the process continues. He also said that this is just the first batch of nominees for screening and confirmation. And also the Senate has shelved this vacation that was supposed to go to and says that they're going to start screening. They asked the National Assembly, they said that they're not doing this particular screening in batches. They said they'll all arrive there on Monday and they would see each and every one of them. And if they're unable to see all of them by Monday, they'll continue on Tuesday. It says that some of them, of course, will have petitions written against them. And so for those ones, we know that will take much longer. So that's it.
About 9 have dropped their CVs, and a few of them have also been had their fingerprints done. I'll take the story of over 2,000 Nigerian girls are currently stranded in Mali, based on the latest information released by the Benin Zone Commander of NAPTIP, that's Nduka Nwanwene. She was of the opinion that he's of the opinion that, based on the intelligence they've gathered, that a few of Nigerian girls are trying to, they are being trafficked, and right now they are stranded in Mali. Many of these young girls have been taken, they are bringing them back from Mali to Benin. They were taken for prostitution, actually, and the total number of girls that have been stranded in Mali, about 20,000 Nigerian girls. That Mali used to be a destination for girls trafficked by Nigerians. Now the reverse is the case, as Mali girls are being trafficked to Benin City for prostitution. Now Mali girls are being trafficked to Benin City for prostitution. So we called on all stakeholders and supporters towards ending the menace of human trafficking and contributing towards the achievement of the SDG goals.
Okay, finally, the renowned economist and author, Dr. O.A. Lawal, has told the CBN to stop the Naira floating policy. According to him, he says that the nation's economy cannot withstand a floated Naira, adding that the World Bank and IMF will destroy the Naira completely if care is not taken. According to him, he recommended the adoption of a managed currency system that the country cannot afford to leave its currency at the mercy of certain forces, thereby expanding the frontiers of inflation and instability. He was worried that when IMF and the World Bank are asking you to do something, it might actually cause a problem since that IMF and World Bank are not friends. They're not friends of developing countries. They would do something that would help their own economy. What they are doing today is to destroy the Naira for us. If care is not taken, that is why they introduced the floating exchange system. So he's advocating that we should have something called the managed currency or a fixed exchange, something that is not so much fixed, but somewhere in the way it's allowed to, the currency would only be allowed to fluctuate between two narrow limits, the upper and the lower limits, which he said would be a better option for us to eliminate arbitrage. So I think that's all we can take on front page review. Let me just read up on Vanguard. I think we've taken all the stories in Vanguard.
Yeah.
Subsidy removal in Nigeria on brink of collapse, says Catholic bishops. 5 killed in Adamawa as hoodlums lose government private warehouse for food items. Tinubu commends Ike Imokwede Foundation endowment fund for civil service debt development. ECOWAS gives Niger Republic coup plotters 1 week to restore Bazoum as president. And hostile business environment, foreign investments in manufacturing fall 51% to $978.3 million. Tinubu appoints special investigator to probe CBN-related entities. Okay, I think that's all we can take on front page review. When we return, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.